Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of TAF Solutions After Hours, where really, guys, all we do is just kind of come in, say, after hours, chill, grab a cup of coffee, maybe a little stronger, who knows, and talk about some of the things that we're dealing with, either be it in our industry or really just kind of, all the people that we talk to and all the wonderful people that we've met throughout the week, really just some of the wonderful things that come from that, and I have to say this week has been a bit of a doozy. I know that normally you would see Sean up here with me, my partner over here at TAF Solutions, but wasn't able to make it today. But I will tell you that we do have quite a bit to talk about, either way. So come with me, come with me. Let's get some music started. And anybody that sees this after the fact, I appreciate you stick around. I do have some questions I'd love for you guys to answer. It's just, just some things for us to take time to just sit back and hang out, That being said, what are we going to talk about first? Well, first of all, that was our little quick intro. I want to talk about some quick tech news that kind of caught my eye recently. And some of that tech news is really straightforward. I mean, it may not always have to do with small to medium businesses, which is what our bread and butter is at TAF, of course, kind of making sure that we're supporting small to medium-sized businesses, even larger businesses, right? And making sure that we're able to give them the information they need. And this is part of that. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, right, is continuous threat exposure management. Now, this thing is kind of one of those things. It's more for the enterprise level when your business has gotten larger, right, to the point where you have a lot of network infrastructure, like servers and a lot of computers attached to things. This is when you're going to go in and you're going to actually need to, as your needs grow and your infrastructure grows, right, you're going to have to worry about attacks on an infrastructure, right? And I guess really what it boils down to is, when does it hit that point? Well, basically, when you start finding the inability, to kind of notice when things are happening because you have 5 or 6 or maybe 20 computers, with employees or around your office space or just devices in general, right? You're not going to really notice strange things because, well, they're not happening to you, right? Maybe they're happening to your employees. And really that your employees become part of that early warning system, right? Or just the warning system in general. And that's kind of where maybe you might benefit more from a continuous threat exposure management role. Now, at TAF, we do offer a somewhat solution to that. We do have basically threat management, right, and mitigation, but mostly just managing the cybersecurity threats through our platform using guards who we partner with, right? And there's a few other things like that we do, such as manage IT services. Those help. They really do. But obviously, the larger you get, the more is involved with all of that. And that's something that it really just becomes more and more important. The larger and more bulky things get, the more you're actually time you're spending making sure that it's not sinking, that it's not taking on water, That being said, this is not something that a small to medium-sized business typically has to deal with right away. But I wanted to bring it up because right now we're seeing a lot of businesses dealing with these DDoS attacks and, getting compromised, like people's social media accounts are getting taken over and, people are getting access to all kinds of stuff they normally it was pretty hard to get their hands on. And so because of that, I wanted to talk about the next subject, to really kind of say, hey, how can we mitigate this? And sure, TAF can offer solutions, right? Out the box, you pay money, we can help you kind of thing, right? But I wanted to provide some solutions that are meant for small to medium businesses so they can manage things on a smaller level. So that when you do become bigger, then of course you can talk to us or anybody you want to that can do the things you need to be done. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk about this new thing called passkeys, right? That's not so new. But when I say, you might be interested to see passkeys versus passwords, right? Like, what is that? Well, aren't passkeys just passwords? Or are they over glorified passwords, maybe, right? Nah. If you thought that, you'd be forgiven, because I don't think that a lot of places have really done a good job making it obvious what they are, right? So what really it boils down to is, what is a password, right? That really is the first question that we have to ask. What is a password? Well, a password is like really kind of like what you've made, right? You said, this is my account, and I'm going to make some code up that convinces whatever this device's security checkpoint is that I'm the one who made it, right? And it can be as simple or as complex as you'd like. Obviously, some websites have given you the big red X, though, when it comes to just a random password that's too small or too insecure, right? I'm sure you've seen that. But that is definitely not the worst thing, that can happen. And honestly, that's good, because if it forces you to create a more longer, complex password, it's definitely going to benefit you in the long run, because it's harder to crack. Now, just keep in mind, a password can be cracked, and especially, again, if it lacks complexity, right? That's the key takeaway with passwords. Now, passkey, right? That's a little different. So basically, I just want you to imagine, and this is typically how it's working right now, is you have a key that's on your device, all right? Some little encrypted thing that is difficult to crack, and it's hidden well. Let's just put it that way. It's like the difference between, I have a key in my wallet here, right? And you don't know what it says. It's a word key, but that's a password, right? And then I can actually flash you the key, but you still have to guess. You see how long it is, but you're not really sure what's in the key. That's a password. And people can crack that because it's really easy for them to see where it is, but just not what it is yet. So they're kind of most of the way there. Now, a passkey, on the other hand, is on your device. And so imagine now a small little word written somewhere in a giant building, just randomly somewhere. Could be anywhere. So now they're not really even sure where to look. So that is the start. But now make it even harder, right? There's another key that's on the server you're trying to go to, so you're trying to interact with, that matches with the key that's on your device. And that is a passkey. And what's cool is, in theory, well, not in theory, but in practice, you don't even need a password, right? You should just you're just able to go to that site, for instance, using the device that has, your passkey on it, and it'll just let you in. And so that's cool, right? That's neat. And I know a lot of people are saying that that's probably something that is really interesting and useful. Especially the professionals, they're definitely saying the same thing as well. Problem is, it's really not implemented across the board. There's a lot of places that haven't used it yet. Microsoft and Google are trying to get everybody on board, of course, and others. They're not alone in this, right? But it is interesting because it is the larger tech firms that are trying to get this to go on and be available. But I also feel like that I look at it from a privacy standpoint, because what the passkey tends to require to prove that it's you using the device that has the key on it, right, such as your phone or your computer, requires not a password, but some sort of biometric ability to prove that you are who you are. So basically, an eye scan or a fingerprint or a face ID, all of those things are something that you have to use to prove who you are for your device to then go onto some site. And if I'm being honest, I think it's a little easier now, also because it's a lot more readily available, just to use passwords. But that being said, and again, I'm not saying that passkeys are terrible. I just feel like it's not quite there yet. And honestly, if you're looking at it from a privacy standpoint, do you really want to give Google or Microsoft or AKA, people who are really invested with the government and all these other wonderful things, right? Your face, eye, fingerprint information just so readily. Honestly, in these places, I've also seen a lot of breaches. A lot of account data has been stolen. What happens if all that data is also stolen too? Your facial, everything, right? If somebody breaks your password, right? You just change the password. But if someone takes your data, such as your face, you probably change your face. Can you afford to? Do you want to? You can't really change fingers, tips, right? Your fingerprints, unless you're some James Bond stuff going on around there. I'm not going to say it's impossible, right? It's just something to think about. That being said, I want to mention that I would definitely, here at TAF Solutions, we 100% recommend using things like LastPass or C2 Password, which are password management services. So in the interim, while passkeys are still, young and not, as much everywhere, you're still going to use passwords, right? So get yourself something that's kind of in between, because the password manager, what it does is it stores all of your passwords in a nice little vault that's heavily encrypted, and you get one master password that you decide and that you remember. And whenever you put that in it, it does so encrypted and all that wonderful stuff. And what's cool about this is now you can have really super crazy passwords, like really long and complex ones that people are not going to figure out, at least not for, a decade or so, right? Because that's how long some of these cracks take, depending on the complexity. Hey man, you could have a password that will pass muster all the time. And you can have a different password for every single service you have. Because you can put all these LastPass example. I use LastPass all the time. I know Sean does as well. And what a lot of our friends and family do as well. The point is that I store everything on there. Have the ability to be able to do quite a bit. And what's cool is I have it on my phone. I have it on my computer. I have it everywhere. And I always have it at my fingertips. I can always use it. And I even use biometrics to be able to log in to my password manager, right? And it's only on that device. It's nowhere else. It's not on a server somewhere. It's not stored. It's on my device. Okay. So just a food for thought. I definitely recommend that. Password managers save a lot of time and effort. And hey, guess what? If you're a business and you have a password manager, guess what you can do? You can store secure passwords and share it. So only have one account, if that's all that you have. Like say you have a charge for every seat or something, right? Of some software you're using. Well, if you only have one account and you have to share it, this is an easy way to do that without letting anybody be able to change it and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. Moving on. IoT device security. That leads us to this kind of like an interesting point here where it's like, I see a lot of people with a lot of different devices, just kind of tied up, and we got cameras all around people's houses and inside houses. You've got some of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like I understand that some people think that having something connected to the internet is just a neat thing, and that's cool, right? But I kind of wonder why you need your toaster to be connected to the internet. Maybe your washer and dryer. Okay, sure. Well, what about some other things like your refrigerator? Or, oh wait, hang on, the oven. I understand. It's like neat to see the readouts and the statuses of everything in your house. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, am I ever going to be running my oven? Right? Running your oven. When you're not there. That's the real question, and I guess where I draw a line is when people start talking about how like all these things that you have, your Internet of Things, right? This is what IoT stands for, in case anybody's wondering what that is. Whether it's a good idea or not, because security-wise, it can be dangerous, right? And I'm sure you've seen some horror movies, right? I know I have, where there was one recently, I think. What was it? Well, I know there was one about, there's been some AI ones that have been coming out, right? About how somebody's like, oh, this thing is the AI assistant, right, for the whole house. And of course, because everything is tied to the internet at that particular point, right? It starts hurting people based off random things in the house that are connected to the internet. Or the network at least, right? And that's something that obviously is concerning. At the same time, I know it's pretty far-fetched for some things, but not with AI. Now, I think in the past, it was far-fetched when we saw some of these movies coming out where you had people or a hacker doing all this stuff. But with AI, on the other hand, it's not so far-fetched, right? It's able to do things a lot faster. So that's something to think about, right? My point being is that I see all these things tied to the internet, and what ends up happening is that people have this little paper shield up to protect them from anybody being able to invade their network. But they have all these things connected. So I'll give you a use case scenario. Like, say you have all the things I just described and they're all connected to the internet, but all you have is a small little AT&T or Comcast gateway, right? Something like that. That's all you've got, right? And you don't know how it's set up, and they never set it up, right? So you have no firewall. Let's just say you got no firewall. What do you do? Well, you don't know, right? Because you didn't set it up. The thing is somebody may be able to get in, start pinging all your machines. Next thing you know, they're going to say you got a lot of Internet of Things around, right? And now they're able to go in and maybe even control all these things, or at least look through all your cameras. See, these are things people don't think about. So if you have a whole lot of Internet of Things, but no security, nothing to stop somebody from doing that, you're playing with fire. I highly recommend taking a look at what you've got. That isn't to say, though, again, you probably have a firewall up if you're using a service like, say, AT&T and Comcast, just for sake of argument. I know there's a lot out there, right? But that's a whole other thing, like, do you, though? Did the tech set it up correctly? And these are questions you need to ask. So keep that in mind, right? Again, a lot of this Internet of Things, there's a lack of encryption in a lot of these things. And you got a lot of insecure communications running around. So, and also, a lot of these devices, there's difficulty in patching and updating the devices for the current trends. So say if there is an exploit found in one of these devices, is it getting updated? Do we know that? So many questions. I personally feel that you should limit the amount of Internet of Things devices you have, or at least turn off some of the devices' functionalities that you're never going to use, if you can, right? That's why, maybe you don't have internal cameras in your house, right? Maybe you only have external. Maybe that's a good compromise. It really is just at your comfort level, right? Either way, that's Internet of Things security. Well, what's up next? Well, really, I wanted to quickly kind of go into what was tech trivia, but I think there's nobody really showing right now. But in the comments below, guys, what year was the QR code invented? That is our tech trivia for today. If you have the answer, put it below. We'll mention it next time. Next up, I just want to quickly talk about, I believe it was our most recent initiative that we've been going through. I know at TAF Solutions, we've got a lot of things that we talk about and do. And this one's going to be big. I can already tell you right now. So recently, we've been started up something new. It's called GenForge. And I mean, GenForge is all about finding people, connecting them with people that are worth being met with, right? People who are going to benefit from meeting each other. But more importantly, recognizing the challenges that businesses face and helping to solve problems. And what I mean by solving problems is you started a business. I started a business. I had a lot of problems starting up. You have as well. If you've started a business, you've always had those moments where you're not really sure what to do next. So keep that in mind. That's what GenForge is all about. So the challenges of networking and business collaboration has always been there. We all know why. A lot of places are a little different. Like networking groups, which are fantastic, only go so far. You're out there, you're beating your chest, saying, I'm the best business that can do X, Y, and Z. That's what you do at networking groups. And it's great. People get to know who you are. And some networking groups that are more focused on referrals, now they know who you are too. They're going to go, hopefully, if they do what they're supposed to do, right? They go out and they actually sing your praises, right? The problem is that solving your problem? Because that's getting you business. So some networking groups, they go out and they're just like, yeah, okay, let's talk about what? How to be a better business owner? That's usually what I see. It's a lot of self-help guides. So that's helpful on a personal level, right? Understanding the kind of person I am, or on some of these things I've seen, like business coaches, they like to tell you, hey, you're X, Y, Z, whatever personality, or this just DISC assessment they throw at you, right? And they say, yeah, you're going to go far if you if you look at what I tell you about yourself. But that's not your business, really. I mean, it is to a certain point, right? Because you start your business, you work your business, that's you. But at some point, it becomes more than you. Especially if you have a business, business partner, right? Kind of important. That person is not always the same as you. So the more you add to your business, the longer it comes. At some point, networking groups get a little more shallower and you stop going. And the sad thing is that we at GenForge and at TAF Solutions, we 100% disagree with that. You should not leave your networking groups. And the reason is because those places are fantastic for growth. And whether you see it or not, the more you participate, the more your face is seen, the more people know about you. That referral system is fantastic. It's something that we greatly appreciate. We have a lot of respect for that. So keep that in mind the next time you're ever thinking about this sort of thing. That being said, it doesn't have to be so impersonal, The problem is that everybody's challenges change. And that is why GentForge, we're trying to make that a little different. We want to address the challenges that come that aren't being addressed. You as a person, networking groups can help solve that, right? They can help make you more confident, They can get you in front of a lot of people. They can get you a referral system rolling. But does that solve your legal issues or questions? Does that solve your bookkeeping? Does that solve all the things that you're worried about when it comes to operations? Things that maybe you're not even thinking about right now that are, but when you start adding on people, you got to start thinking about that. And look, we've done it ourselves. We have had to think about things that we've never thought about before. And that's a good thing. It just shows that we're growing. But at the same time, you have to grow as well. And you have to think about things a little differently. And that really is where a lot of people differ and change, And sometimes businesses don't work out. Some people would rather sell the business than have to not only focus on the things they know how to do well, I should say. Because you can do anything, but you just have to be ready to learn it, work on it, and get better at it. That being said, we'll move on to the next things. And by the way, next time I want to talk about in this area with GentForge and all that stuff, we're going to talk a little bit more next time when we allude to that about overcoming operational bottlenecks. So just keep in tune with that and get ready to, we're going to try and keep this to every Friday, I think, from now on a weekly basis, TAF After Hours. And hopefully Sean will be with me that next time. Next up, really, guys, it comes down to what's currently challenging, in the tech industry. Some of the things that we run into a lot of the times with us is client engagement. And it's not that we're not reaching out to clients and trying to maintain relationships with them. We do. And the challenge really comes down to the responsiveness of the clients themselves, right? And we're all busy. And I'm certainly not claiming that that's not the main issue, because it certainly is. But it is actually kind of interesting how many people will pay for a service and then disappear on you, right? They're already invested and they just kind of poof, right? And the only time that's an issue, obviously, for them is when they come back around and they're trying to figure out why something isn't working, like AKA, I've paid for advertising, why aren't I advertising yet? And the trouble with that is that on my side, where I've already immediately, because they've disappeared, I'm already kind of stressed out about it, very concerned at the very least, is because I can't do what I need to do for you without your input. And that is very important, and it's really tough for them to maybe realize that to a certain extent. But again, they are, people are made aware, or need to be made aware, I should say, of all the different things that need to happen when it comes to technical services. Your input is needed. It's required. Now, the good news is that you don't have to understand how it works, right? You leave that to us. That's why you hired us, obviously. But it really comes down to making sure that you at least are working with us to make sure that everything you need, that your message is being sent out there properly. I am not going to allow a message that you didn't approve of to be sent out because it's not you. And I will never want, at TAF Solutions, we never want to misrepresent a client at all. And that's why we require you to participate, because it has to be your message, not mine. I know what my message is. My message is I want to help you get your stuff out there, make you seen and not hidden. Or as in a previous venture I was a part of when many, many years ago, where someone looked at me and said, you're the best kept secret in Houston. This was a previous business. And I was happy and sad at the same time. It's challenging. You do a lot of really hard work for people, and you don't expect the constant affirmation, because you're doing a good job. But the challenge comes down to maintaining that, how do I put this? Not the aggressiveness, but maintaining moving forward so that you can help circumvent the challenges that are going to come for people. Your business is not just a challenge, it's a puzzle. And you have to help solve all the challenges that you have. And the best way we can do that is by having someone else help you, obviously. But it's, if you understand your business more than anybody else, so you're required to help cipher everything to help us understand it. That being said, if you guys have any kind of questions or things of that nature when it comes to questions, or if you have a tech question or a business challenge, send it our way after the fact as well. Something we'll talk about next time. I don't have any questions right now that's been sent in from the previous, but I definitely want to get that ball rolling if you're still watching at this point, right? That being said, another challenge that we faced has been balancing automation and personal touches. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that if you're one person, you can only do so much, right? And that's where discovering the automations that are out there will really help out. And here's the thing, guys. I know you've all heard of ChatGPT and AI and how that's all coming very much into focus for a lot of people at this point. Here at TAF Solutions, we've been working with AI ever since the inception, before 2022. Or at least we've been working on it with personal level. But ever since it really came into focus, I want to say 2023, yeah, roughly, when it really started to hit the ground running, then we were already utilizing it and trying to figure out what's best. And that's why a lot of our services have artificial intelligence inside of it, actually. We have the entire suite of BirdEye that we utilize, and that's really useful for what we're trying to use it for, in artificial intelligence, and that is made proprietary for that. That's not just some offshoot, of ChatGPT or, some other AI that wasn't not being forced to me to do something it wasn't meant for, right? It was something that actually developed by BirdEye to do everything that it's meant for. So, for instance, listings, that we offer for local SEO, social AI, for social media content creation, all that stuff is very much really cool, and it's automated. And a lot of it's automated. You can set it up to just automate. You can set it up. You can set reviews AI to automate responses to people, and based off their content of their message. It's really neat. But where does it become too much? Is the question, right? Like, where do we want the personal touches? And a lot of businesses do it differently. We have this one auto care company that uses, loves to use AI driven review responses. It all sounds great, but refuses to use the chatbot that we've put on we wanted to put on their site, because they wanted it to be more of a personal touch. They wanted to be able to respond when they could immediately, but as a person, to fully understand the needs of their customers. And I think that's fantastic. And I think what people need to realize is that artificial intelligence is only really, and automation in general, it's all just tools, right? You don't have to use all of the automation tools. You need to use what you need to use to help you at the time when you need it. That is, I think, the TAF Solutions motto. Use the tools when you need them, but definitely use the tools. And if you don't need them, don't get the tools. We don't want to sell you the tools if you're not going to use them. And other companies should want the same. You know, it's that simple. So find that sweet spot. I know that's a tall order sometimes, but find it. So AI tools, they help. They also frustrate a little bit. They don't always do what you want. We have to be very specific sometimes with them, especially with with image creation generation. I was playing with video creation a little bit. That was crazy. And by crazy, I mean it's very weird. And for those that know me, you know, I work in video production, 3D animation, all that stuff for over 25 years. So it's been interesting playing with AI and seeing what it can do. I think for me, it's mostly an inspirational thing. You know, in the past, if I wanted to learn how to work on a logo for somebody, you know, say graphic design, what I would do is I would go get inspiration from online artists. You know, people would post images, or I would look at other logos, right? You know, get inspiration from that, maybe like stylistic inspiration, stuff like that. All I've done is sped up that process. With AI, I'm able to literally create fresh looks from a prompt to get inspiration. And then I'll go about actually creating my logo. And it's actually made it a lot easier to get a lot more inspiration very quickly. What used to take hours of searching and finding and going down rabbit holes is now minutes. It's minutes. So it is also saving my clients money as well, because I do charge for research. You know, it's about your logo and your business, and then yeah, it's part of the process, right? I think the work speaks for itself. You know, what I don't like is when people just take a logo directly from AI and use it. That's frustrating, because while it is kind of your product because you asked for it, it isn't. It feels very impersonal, and maybe that's one of those things of like personal touches that you should think about. If you're fine with that, then okay, that's cool. I get it. It's hard to get a logo and get started. And if it really sings for you, then great. Keep it in mind though. You're going to get a logo that is an image usually, and not a vector file. Eventually you're going to have to get an artist to go in and actually retrace it so that you can maybe blow it up and put it on a billboard, because it's not big enough. It's a rasterized file. If you guys have questions of what that is, feel free to put it in the comments below. I'll happily talk about it next time. Moving on. One of the random tech finds of the week isn't really so random, but we're definitely going to show. I want to try and show cool, you know, or weird tech products, you know, apps, or an idea that caught my attention. Most recent one, My Backyard. So mybackyard.com is a brand new application that's out in Houston and in New York. Highly recommend downloading it and signing up. I had a chance to speak with Anthony, who is one of the founding members of My Backyard and really the owner. And fantastic individual, had a lot of information, a huge passion for helping small to medium businesses. And that's exactly what My Backyard is meant to do. Definitely go to mybackyard.com. I believe it's mybackyardusa.com. Yes, it is. And definitely check that out. And I'll share it on screen very quickly. So, as you can see right here, very interesting stuff. We've got this wonderful thing here. Again, still able to roll in and get it from these two locations. It's on, of course, Apple and iOS. It's on iOS, I'm sorry, and Google Play. Android and Apple, guys, go get it. No reason not to. I mean, unless you're still utilizing Windows Phone, which I think was deprecated out, actually, right? Could be wrong. Well, guys, again, recap real quick, just some final thoughts. I think if I had to give a takeaway to everything that's happened this week, it really is just how far a business can come in just a few years. You have to remember, when you do everything you can, or what you need to do, things tend to work out pretty interestingly. Business is hard, and it's something that you have to constantly work at keeping it relevant in people's minds. The bigger you are, the more easier that is, but also the more money it takes, right? So think about it this way. You're a business, you're struggling to find relevancy, you're struggling to find your target audience, to get people in your door. Understand that today's market is very difficult for a lot of industries, most industries actually. And while a lot of people will tell you on TV that things are fine, the economy is very stretched. I think we all know that internally and externally. A lot of factors show, price of food, everything, that is the case. So what you can do is work your best to ensure that you convince people to go with you and no one else, right? Maybe some people else. But people are stretched already. That means they're having a hard time finding a place, or they're having to be more choosy, I should say, or choosy of where they spend their money. That is the key takeaway, I think, for the most recent things we've been seeing. And while the economy is stabilizing a little bit, it is definitely still difficult. So you guys are not alone. That's why we're going to help solve your problems in the only way we can, together. Okay. So remember, guys, help each other out. Be excellent to each other. Make sure that you stay relevant. People, go to your networking groups. Go to your networking groups. Network with people. And continuously work with each other. There's room in the sandbox for everybody. Partner with people you wouldn't think you would normally partner with. You can partner with competitors, believe it or not, right? We can work together. And maybe that's a good way to work. Maybe that's a good way to get by and have better, what's the word? To be able to make it through this tough time. Next time, guys, we're going to talk about, again, some of the choke points, like I mentioned, in business operations, but more importantly, just have a talk about some of the things that we've recently done as well. We're working with chambers of commerce. We're working with, local government. We're working with a lot of local businesses and small, medium, a couple big ones. Guys, we are TAF Solutions. We are a community technology partner. I'm Joe again, Joe Wallace. Happy to be here. Go to wearetaf.com for more information and any other updates that we have. Again, every Friday we're going to try and be here. So like, subscribe, follow, leave reviews, and leave questions down in the comments below, guys, and even comments. And again, we go out to like 6 different platforms at the same time here. So if If you did leave a comment or a question I didn't get to, I do apologize. I can only see up to, I think, about 3 or 4 of these. That's integrated into StreamYards. So, but definitely go there. Go check out mybackyard.com, and we're going to have more to come in the near future. Again, take care, guys. We're your community technology partner. Have a good rest of the night.